Okay, so we're just going to go through a bit more detail today about small networks. We're going to look at DHCP configuration, DNS configuration, and SSH, so ensuring secure remote connection. Okay, so pretty straightforward network in front of us, 2 PCs, a switch and a router. So I'm going to get straight into it. So command line on the router. We don't want the initial configuration. And we want to go in through the terminal access. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of the router. So host name R1. Let's change it R1. You can change it to anything you want. Usually it's branch names. It can be absolutely anything. Departments, etc. So let's create a password for initial access. Let's just keep it simple and call it dog. And then let's have a further password on our more secure access. So if these are real, if you're doing this on a real live router in a network, don't use these passwords, please, because they are not very secure. Okay, and that's both password sets. We've got two layers of access there. We've got sort of guest access, and we've got more administrator access. Okay, so let's go into configuring the IP address of the interface next. So we want our port was gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0, and then we'll give it the straightforward IP address of 192.168.1.1 and default subnet mask 255.25.0. Okay, and then let's open the port up because it is closed by default. So there we have our working network, I suppose. Okay, so let's just by habit copy the running config to the startup config. So if it powers off or anything like that, we're reasonably safe. Okay, so let's go into the DHCP now. I'll go into configuration of DHCP. So I will go through a pretty standard way of doing this. So I'm going to create a DHCP range. So I'm going to exclude addresses here. Spelled it wrong. It's very important you are a good speller if you're doing this. So what I'm doing here is I'm excluding a range of IP addresses from being allocated automatic IP addresses. So this would be like where your fixed devices, printers, servers, routers, switches, etc. would fit in. Okay, so that's excluding 1.0 to 1.10 from the DHCP pool. And I'm going to call this, I need to name this pool. I'm just going to call it my net. Okay, so I'm going to name the default router or assign the default router. Um, 192.168.1.1, and then I'm going to use .2 for the DNS server. Okay, so that's the DHCP pool created, and that's the DNS server done. On a router, normally it'd be done from an actual server, but just for this activity we'll show it, and then we'll just sort of make sure we know what network we're on, so the network address is configured as well. And I use default subnet mask here. So that's our network address, 192.168.1.0. Okay, so let's again get to the bottom. So start, copy, running config to startup. Yeah, so if it powers off or anything like that, it still saves our configuration. So let's test. We've got DHCP access. So we'll go into the PCs, desktop, IP configuration, change it from static to DHCP, and that's good. So it's giving it 11, so that's outside of our excluded range, and this one should give us 12, I'm hoping. Yep. So if we added another device, it should be 13, and so on and so on. Okay, so the next step is going to be to create a domain name, and then create crypto keys so we can secure the connection from devices. Okay, so again, go into the router. I want to configure terminal again, so on terminal access. Okay, so now what I need to do is create a domain name. So if I press IP domain ? It tells you what options I have. So I want the IP domain name command. Okay, so this one is IP domain hyphen name. It doesn't matter quite. Tab by mistake. It doesn't like that either. I've missed out here. Let me check. IP domain name. Sorry, I know what I've done. ? I need to actually specify the domain name. Okay, so IP domain name. Let's just call it epic.com. Yeah. Okay, so that's our domain name created, and now we need to create our keys. So, so each device can communicate securely under an encrypted traffic. Okay, so key. Hoping it completes it, yeah. Okay, so the next sort of bit is RSA. So I'm pressing ? Just to see which comes next. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, so here we've got options now. We can type in a number from 360 to 2048. The longer the number, the greater the number, the longer it takes. I'm just going to go in the middle and try and put 1204. Okay, so that's our RSA key is a 1024-bit key. Okay, so that's our key generated for our domain. Now the next bit is to create using an admin user and enable SSH. Okay, so to do this, if I just need to type user, and it should, so it enables SSH 1.1.99 has been enabled. Okay, but it's an incomplete command. So username admin, and then we need to set a password as well. So I'll use dog again. Okay, so that's our admin password, and then I need to specify the virtual terminal lines. So it's 0 to 15, and then specify login local. And then the next bit is to specify the transport type for remote access. Okay, so just I'll sort of show you the options here. So if you press the transport input ? You've got either you can select all for all remote connections, none for 0 connections, SSH only or telnet only. Okay, so just remember telnet's unencrypted and SSH is encrypted, so that's the sort of standard we're going to go for. So type SSH after that. Okay, so that's SSH enabled. We've created a user admin account. We've sorted our DHCP out. We've created a domain. I'm going to save all this and then hopefully test it, and it hopefully works. So copy config to startup config. Okay, so again, if we have a power cut, we should still be okay. Okay, so let's test it out. So if we go into the PC and to the command, now what I want to do now is test that telnet doesn't work. So telnet 192.168.1.1 is the address of the router. Okay, so it's closed by a foreign host. Okay, so let's test our SSH. There's a specific way of doing this. it needs SSH-L and the username and the target. So SSH-L, the username is admin and the IP address of the router. Okay. So I'm into the router, so my password is there. Now the passwords of the router. But now I can pretty much do what I was doing before on the router, but on a PC. So again, if it's a remote, this is just being done locally at the moment, but if it was remote, that'd be a different set of commands. But hopefully this gives you an overview of SSH connection. It's important because it's encrypting the traffic between two devices. Telnet is no longer secure. And if you want to block them, you just simply select no connections for no protocol connections for access. Okay, thank you.